Waves are sweeping ripples or turbulent movement of the waters across the ocean in the direction of the prevailing wind. They are also caused by the prevailing winds to show the advancement of movement of water in the form of oscillatory movement or rotation. Waves are calm on a very calm day, but they are turbulent on the days that are stormy or the days where you have torrential downpour. It is about 6 meters on its crest to the areas where it goes down. The crest is the high part of the wave, while the total distance of the wave is called the wave length. The side that is going down is referred to as the wave trough. The length of the wave is about 120 meters. As the wave moves, the mechanism of movement and is coming back after being sucked to the cliff is called retraction. So we also have other movements like breaker, surge, back swatch, and undertow. Undertow is the undercurrent that is very strong, retracting back or retrieving back into the sea from the cliff after swatch has hit the cliff. It is also very dangerous to bathers as it is strong and tend to drop back to the sea. Tide is the differential level or the change in the level of water in the sea. When it is high, moving up towards the cliff or towards the platform, it is referred to as high tide. When it is low, going down, maybe due to seasonal variation or other lunar reasons, it is referred to as low tide. Current is the movement of surface water in regular or irregular pattern over time. Agents of marine erosion are hydraulic action is the repeated wave action where waves surge into cravings in rock, compress the air and expand them, retreat to enlarge and prise apart the rock particles, cracking the rocks that are weak to fragments. Attrition is when water hurl rocks, debris, shingles against themselves and polish them or wear themselves out in shape, sizes to form final rocks or sand that are being deposited in the beach. Solvent action is when rock particles, debris that have materials like calcite, chalk and calcium carbonate melt or dissolve in water. So those materials that are soluble in water, they dissolve and move on top of the surface in water, making the water surface to change color. Corrosion is when wave use rock debris to excavate the base of the cliff and wear them in size. The coming current or tide tend to sweep them and completely change their form to cut platforms that were not there before. It also makes some different cliffs or parts like inlet to emerge from a given cliff. When these mechanisms tend to excavate part of the cliff or above the cliff or rocks that are closer on the shorelines, they tend to form capes. Capes are irregular headlines that have been worn where they have alternate band and soft rock, and the soft rocks will now be worn inside, while the headline of granite that is protruding out or coming out will form the cape. Example is Cape Town in South Africa. The promontory or the scape that is being formed is the headland, while the other parts that are worn inside can form inlet. But when some parts are cut away from the land, it will now form an island or a part that is cut to the sea and separated from the sea that is called islet. We also have inlet and coves. Inlet and coves are curved inside and they are narrow deep furrows that are cut by wave or continuous wave action on the piece of land or continental block that has been isolated by water. Cliffs and wave-cut platforms are the part of the land that is on the shoreline that is continuously being baited by the water or waves to form a steep rock facing the coast. When the part is cut down and you now have a sleeping high form or landslide that's making the wave to hit the base and the cliff to be high in structure, we refer to that as wave-cut platform. Caves are areas where water now tend to hit the part of the cliff that is weak or soft to form a hole in the region of weakness. So by prolonged wave action, this hollow part will now form a cave. When two caves unite from either sides of the cliff or on both sides of the cliff to meet together, they will now form an open tunnel that is called an arch. When two arches meet and they collide or the top collapse, it will now form a stack. A stack is a steep pillar of rock that is rising above the sea level that is formed by the collapse of arch or two arches together. Example is the Old Man of O in Oakland or the Needle Eye of Wick. All these are being sculpted out from chalk layers near the sea. Stump is a vertical rock platform or pillar that has been reduced in size by continuous wave action or erosion, and it can only be visible in low-level tide. These parts, when they meet together and form an open shaft, the shaft that is open or the part that now looks like a hole that is rising on top of the platform is called a gloop. While jaws are water that is hitting the roof of the cliff by prolonged erosion and is now making water to now be splashing out of the roof to form an enlarged compressed hollows where air is trapped inside the jaws. There are occasional splashing of wave water against the roof when these joints are being enlarged and compressed by air trapped inside the hollows. But when the hollows now resurface on top of the landform or cliff, now blowing out in form of water gushing out from the top of the rock, we now refer to it as a blowhole. A blowhole is a hole that is formed on top of a cave where water is now gushing out on top of the cave due to shaft that open up but has not been depressed to form a gloops. Example is the Humborn Head in Caithness in Scotland. We also have Tombolo, a strap of sand that connects two land masses or that connect two lands across the water that were formerly divided. So when this bar tend to extend by prolonged erosion, sand will not gather to make the two land masses to meet together. So when they meet together, we refer to that kind of connection between two land masses formed by bars as tombolo. Examples is the Domley Bar in Aberdeen in Sierra Leone or the Escavos and Focado Bar in Nigeria. Very critically and watch the videos to be able to answer your quizzes and take up your questions in this lesson.